Hello. Last episode I said about challenging myself to tell a story, so here goes. In any of my stories, if I'm talking about my life, there's always a bad guy, and the bad guy is the expert or the person with certainty about their way is the right way, the best way, the only way. And the real problem is that I put these people on a pedestal and say, yes, they are experts. Very often I like them and I admire them and I trust the advice that they give, but they don't know me. Or it turns out later they didn't know me. At the time I'm thinking, they're the expert. They've met me. They must have all the answers. They must know what I'm capable of and what I should be doing with my life. But only later do I figure out that they didn't know me. And I blame myself for that again, but that's I don't know if that's going to come up in the story today. Let's see what happens. This is Stories About Speaking. I'm Joanne. Hi, welcome to episode 3. I wanted to start. This is a story about trying to figure out what your potential is, I suppose. When I was quite a young teenager, my mum sat me down and was saying how the one thing that she wished for me was to reach my potential. And she didn't really know what that was. I think we were talking at the time about options at school and, I don't know, different career choices and different things like that. It was never really going to be university for me. The idea was always that I would get a job and then work my way up. But when I was a younger teenager, my mum just said that she just wanted me to reach my potential. I think she felt that she hadn't reached hers, but that she associated reaching your potential with happiness. And I think that's what I wanted to do too. And at the school I was at a grammar school, which meant you had to do an exam to get in. But I was the bottom of the class for every subject. And I think that gave me a little bit of a false idea about what the world was like, because I was meeting a lot of people who were quite clever and, well educated already. And so the only thing I saw was that I was bottom of the class. And the teachers would happily leave me at the bottom of the class. I don't know what else to say about that. I did my exams at 16. I did better than I thought I would, and I was working at the time. And some people there said to me, "What on earth are you doing waitressing?" And nothing wrong with waitressing. "What on earth are you doing waitressing if you've got these qualifications and you've got these capabilities and this is what your potential is?" But I didn't see that, and nobody was saying to me, I'm growling to myself because I'm thinking, as I just said, nobody said to me, and I was about to say that I was capable of more. There were people that said I was capable of more. There were some teachers that said I was capable of more, but I didn't really believe them. I suppose I just didn't think that I was very academic. And again, I come back to being painfully shy, and I didn't contribute in classes or anything like that. Still, I had this idea that when I went to work, that I would work my way up, and that's how I would discover what my potential was. And the way that I saw and thought about potential was, you have an intelligence or something that you're capable of doing, and in your life you do a job which reaches at the level of that, and you continue to do that. So you get that job as quickly as you can. And then you continue to just keep doing that job, which is your potential. You've fulfilled your potential and are happy. So I started work at 16 and I thought, well, by the time I'm 20, 21, I'll have reached my potential. I might have a home. I might have a car. I'll be thinking about long-term partners. I really thought that you wait until you've reached your potential and then you carry on with life. That's when your life begins. which is, I don't know. I don't know how old you are, but I'm pretty sure that you realise that that's complete nonsense. I don't know I don't remember anybody saying to me that potential works like that. For me now, potential is much more of a moving goalpost. But I didn't see it like that before. I thought, I'll work my way up, I'll reach my potential, I'll have the job that is at the limit of what I'm capable of doing, and then that's when life begins, that's when friends begin, and family things, and happiness and stuff. And one of the jobs that I had, I was working in a department store, selling shoes, men's shoes. I was in the men's shoe department. And in the department store, the ladies' shoes was on the first floor, and the men's shoe department was on the ground floor. So the ladies' shoe department was much bigger, and there was a lot of staff. But the ground floor was just me, except for Saturdays, where there was a couple of Saturday girls that helped me out. And when I was hired for the job, I knew that it would just be me, and I would be doing the tills, and it would me running this little department. But I was also the title of the job was sales assistant, and I wasn't, and I really wanted to work my way up. Like I say, I thought, I'll work my way into management, and then that is my potential. That was what I thought would be my potential. And so I really wanted to be supervisor, even though I only had like very limited responsibilities. I felt like I was managing myself at least, and managing the Saturday girls, and taking care of the department. And I knew that if I wanted to move to another shop, that it would help me if I had the title, rather than just saying, oh, I was a sales assistant, but I did the work of a supervisor or anything like that. So I had this goal. Oh, my stomach's just flipped and turned as I'm thinking about this time in my life. That's weird. So, yeah, I was thinking that, I need to take a breath. That's weird. I wanted to tell stories, but I'm not sure I was prepared for some of the memories that would bring up. I think a lot of it is trying to prove myself. And again, thinking that once I've got to a position, then when I move on, that's when life begins. At this time, when I was working in this shoe department, I'd already left home. I can't remember how old. Let me think. I would have been about 19 or 20, something like that. And I'd already left home. And I'd had quite a few years. I'd had my first little time in Spain and then come back to the UK. And so I was trying to forget about Spain. And at the same time still thinking about it and thinking maybe I'll work in a shop, and I don't know. But I was trying to figure a lot of stuff out about myself. And one of the things that I was feeling a lot was that I was feeling really frustrated with my life and confused at the same time. And I think I said, and I felt depressed. In hindsight, I'm not sure whether it was more of the frustration and the confusion, because I was listening to people who's talked about my potential and where I should be working and what I should be doing. And working in a shop or waitressing was where those people said I should be. And I felt very confused that I believed them. I believed that was what my potential was. And so if that was my potential and I was doing it, why was I so unhappy? That was the problem. That was why I was so confused. And then from the frustration side of things, oh, my stomach's flipped again now. This is weird, telling this story. From the frustration side of things, I was getting very frustrated with the people that I was working with. I couldn't understand why they were doing things the long way round all the time, or doing things what I felt was a hard way. Anyway, all this frustration, all this confusion. And a friend of mine, I think, was feeling in a similar place. And she mentioned about doing an IQ test, something she'd seen in a newspaper, I think. And this is for Mensa. I don't know if you've heard of Mensa, where it's a high IQ society. So you do an IQ test just in a newspaper or something like that. Then what they do is they send you a test to time yourself doing this test at home. Then you can go on and do a test at one of their assessment centres if you want to. So both me and my friend went through all these processes, and we ended up being invited to do an official test at the Mensa test centre, and both of us ended up being admitted as members of Mensa, meaning we had an above average IQ. And this is a funny part of the story to tell, because some of you will be thinking, oh, she's showing off or something like that. I don't feel like that. I'm hoping what you hear is the confusion and the frustration, and I was trusting other people in my life to say they know what's best, they know what I'm capable of, and that's where I belonged. And I felt so unhappy in that position. This was an alternative explanation as to, oh, the reason you're not happy is you're capable of more, you have more potential. And maybe you're not showing it to these people. Maybe these people are all perfectly good and fine, but you're not showing it, or you're not speaking up, or you haven't had enough education. It is, I kind of see these people along the line as being the bad guys, like I said earlier. But if I have a little bit of compassion, I also blame myself for not speaking up and not pushing myself forward. Still, I'm working in this shop. I get the Mensa test results, and even now, many years later, I realised what a really big turning point that was in my life. And it made me feel like, if I'm in this band range for intelligence, what do people in that band range do for a living? A sort of an alternative way of thinking about my potential, not based on the experts and the teachers that I'd had in my life, but just strictly based on this one test, this IQ test. And it really, as I say, really blew my mind that to think of myself as having more potential. And that was when I first started thinking about night school and even possibly university as a mature student. Because like I say, before that, it was always work and then reach management or something, then your life begins and then you're happy. Anyway, I was telling one of the Saturday girls about being in Mensa, and she was surprised. And this is something that has happened really throughout my life, is that people seem really genuinely surprised that I might have a higher IQ. Those people that feel that IQ is something that maybe you can see and tell with a person. So the next week she says to me, this is my Saturday girl, she said, oh, I told the boss upstairs that you were in Mensa, and that, oh, my stomach's going again thinking about this. This is really weird. Anyway, she said to me, I told the boss that you were in Mensa. Now, remember, I'm trying to work my way up to be given just the title of supervisor, or just some acknowledgement of the work that I'm doing, or that I'm working hard, or some acknowledgement that I'm on the right path with this. And she says to me, this is what the manager said about me. Of all the people in all the world, Joanne is the last person I would expect to be in Mensa. All the people in all the world, Joanne is the last person. And she kind of joked about it, and I kind of joked and sort of smiled back. But it was pretty heartbreaking at the time. And as I say, even thinking about it now, my stomach is just going over and over. I really wasn't expecting this when I was telling this story, because previously when I've told this story, I've joked about it. I might have another video where I've said it, and I've brushed it off. But clearly it wasn't a brushing off thing. It was, this is what even somebody that works with me and sees me every day and sees the work I do, they thought I was stupid. They thought that I was the last person that would be of above average intelligence. So I wanted to share that. I really wasn't expecting, as I say, I've joked about this story before. I wasn't expecting to feel emotional about it. But in a funny way, having him say that just made me realise that people really don't know what you're capable of. And he certainly did not know what my potential was. And I suppose it opened the door a little bit for me to be thinking, I've got to figure out what my potential is. And that people around me, even people who are teachers and, I don't know, family, anybody around me close by, they don't know what I'm capable of either. That's something that I'm going to have to figure out myself. And I was really, really scared of, and I felt like I didn't belong in night school or education or anything like that. But I did. Me and my friend, we went to do a first aid course. And I think it was just a 4-week or a 6-week course at night school. And that was our first step into going back into education. And that was all we could imagine ourselves doing. And both of us ended up going to university as mature students. And I think both of us, over the years, have had teachers, professors at the university, bosses, say to us, this is where you belong, in this little box here, and your potential isn't any more than that. And I don't know why. I mean, when I look at her, I don't know why people don't see her intelligence and her capabilities and her potential. And very often I blame myself when people can't see it in myself, because I'm thinking, well, you're not doing the work and you're not sharing things and you're not speaking, so it's my fault. And I suppose that's why a lot of the work that I do is more based on the individual and trying to help them speak up, rather than making the world take care of them or respond to them or be a safer place. But it's not about throwing people in at the deep end. I think one of the biggest problems was people would say, if I was shy, people would say, oh, just speak or just be confident. That was too big a step for me. I needed smaller steps to build my courage and to build some skills along the way, which I figured out eventually. And I'm still going. You can see, I'm sure you can tell from these podcasts that I've had to really gather up my courage to hit record. And each time I really want to be testing myself and doing something different. And today with the story, I did not expect my stomach to go over like that. I thought I'd speak fast and I thought I'd joke about it and brush it off. But I wasn't expecting to remember some of the churning feelings and, like I say, all this, the frustration and the confusion and what on earth is my potential? What am I supposed to be doing? And where do I belong? And I don't know if this is even possible for me. If I had this fantasy of having some sort of mentor in my life, somebody who would see me and see my potential and, take me under their wing and look after me and, I don't know, push me towards different things. And I've definitely had people who have encouraged me. It didn't look like that. It didn't look like the fantasy. But in hindsight, I have had people that have encouraged me and said really kind things. And it didn't take much to be encouraging. Maybe that should be episode 4. Maybe I should talk about the good people, not the bad guys. The good guys who come along and say an encouraging word and just make you feel like things are possible. So hopefully I get to see you in episode 4. That'd be really cool. But if you want to see the full transcript, there's a link below, and that's the Substack. The full transcript is written out for you. And I'd love to hear your stories too. So take care, and I'll see you in episode 4. Bye.